Top of the top, y'all, it's your boy Show coming live with another deal breakdown. Excited to break this one down because this is actually our largest assignment fee, our largest deal to date. 44 racks, could have been 46 too, but we paid some of the fees for the seller, but we'll go into all that. Anyway, as always, I'm going to give y'all all the juice of the deal. We're marking the channel we used, how we got the deal, how we sold the deal, any problems we ran into getting this deal from contract to close. So tap in, let's get it. All right, guys, so this deal was inbound radio lead. We do radio marketing. And so this deal came from that radio marketing. She called us. Actually, one of her friends called and said, hey, I have a friend who's wanting to sell a house. Can you guys come by, take a look at it? Did so I believe the same day I set up an appointment, went by, took a look at it. It was actually right down the street from my house, about 10 minutes. Love when that happens because I like to tell them, hey, I live in the area, I know the area really well. That tends to make people really comfortable with working with you when you can tell them facts and information about the area and where their property is at. So I might say, hey, we picked up a property on Jane Street, which may be 2 streets over. They say, oh, I know where that is. And so that kind of builds a comfortability and they feel like you know exactly what you're talking about. You know the market, you know the area. And so that opens them up to working with you, all right? Simple tip there, guys. So walked the property. Property was in pretty bad condition, very outdated. And the situation was the lady who was selling the house was actually inherited the house from her grandmother, but there was still a mortgage on the house that they were behind on. There were taxes owed, and so the property was actually about to go into foreclosure, and she was aware of that. She had received that notice, so she knew she needed to act fast. She had already completely vacated and moved out of the house, so that wasn't a problem. And so I walked the property. I think I initially made her an offer of about $90,000. She kind of went back and forth, you know, wanted to see, you know, she wanted to think about it. I ended up coming up to $95,000, and I knew even at that price, this was still of a deal. This is a super hot area in Dallas. The property is actually in Grand Prairie. For people in the area, you know exactly where that is. So I knew even at 95, even at 100, even at 110, this would be a deal, but we like to anchor low. And so we ended up agreeing at 95. She thought that was fair. Given the fact that the mortgage had to come out of that purchase price, obviously they still want to walk away with something. And so we agreed at 95, cool, locked it up. So now we moved to, you know, marketing the deal and finding a buyer. And so what we learned on this deal was we absolutely, when we market our deals out to our buyers, generally what we do, we use MailChimp, we do an email blast, we put pictures of the property in there, we give a description of the full property, beds, baths, square footage, any details as far as what's needed in repairs, updates, our estimated repair amount, things like that. Obviously, we always suggest that our buyers do their own due diligence after walking the property so they can come up with their own numbers. Don't just take ours. So we put that package together and we sent it out to our buyers list. And what we learned on this deal is you cannot, do not put the address to the subject property in that email blast, because if you're like us and your buyers list is long, hundreds or thousands of buyers, that means you just sent that address out to all of these people, and not everybody on that buyer's list are going to be real buyers. It might be people who are daisy chainers, meaning they're going to try to take your deal and sell it to somebody else acting like it's theirs. You know, and it's a lot of that going on in wholesaling, man, and that can really kill your deal. Or people will act like buyers when they're really wholesalers, and then once you send your deal out, they try to call your seller and offer them a higher price, you know, or undercut you or go behind your back and try to make the deal theirs, you know, really snake-ish, but that's going on, you know. So we learned from this deal quick. Do not put the address in your original email blast. And so now what we do is we just send the property information out without the address, and people who are interested can actually write us back, call, text, or email us and say, hey, I'm interested, what's the address? So that way we can kind of narrow down and weed out the people who may be reaching out to the seller, because as opposed to thousands of people having this, only 10 people might actually hit us back, say, hey, I'm interested, what's the address? And so if somebody reaches out to the seller directly, we can kind of pinpoint and say, okay, it may have been this person. We may address the situation, or we may just completely cut them off our buyers list, all right? So that's just a tip for you guys there when you're marketing your properties. But anyway, we did that. We got an overflood of interested buyers because, like I said, we got this at a really good price in a really good area. So a lot of people hit us up making offers, kind of went into a bidding war. I believe we sent this property out at like 125, 130, and it ended up getting bidded up to 141.2, which is actually what we assigned it for. So we got the property under contract for $95,000. After some bidding back and forth with buyers, we got it locked up for $141.2. All right, that creates an assignment fee of $46,200, guys. All right, off of one deal. But let's keep going. So we got it locked up with a buyer. He went and walked the property. He liked it. He actually loved it. He was ready to go immediately. Signed the assignment. Sent his $5,000 earnest money to the title company. So now we got a deal. But after that happened, because like I said, guys, we made the mistake of blasting this out to all these people after we had actually already had it under contract, had it locked up with a buyer. Other buyers were calling our seller, trying to make them a higher offer, in which the seller ended up coming back to me and say, hey, I don't know if I want to do this. We got a higher offer. I think we can get more, and I just had to talk with her and kind of, work through that issue. Obviously, one of the first things we tell them is, hey, we are in a legal binding agreement, meaning you have agreed to sell this property to us. So, you kind of just can't jump out of it for a higher offer, because then we'll be forced to place a memorandum, file a lien or judgment against the property. Then that kind of complicates things for everybody. Just reassured her, hey, you're going to get exactly what we agreed on. The process is going smooth. We're going to get this done pretty quick, help you beat this foreclosure, allow you to move on to bigger and better things. And so ultimately she did end up sticking with us. But then again, we had to get a payoff from the mortgage company. And the payoff is pretty much just saying this is exactly what's owed to the penny if y'all close on this date. So the title company can remit a check to the mortgage company, all right? So if there's a mortgage on the house, you have to get a payoff before closing, all right? That's typical, guys. So so we did that, and then once we ordered the payoff from the mortgage company ended up calling her saying, hey, see, you're selling the house. They asked her what she was selling it for. When she told them, they told her, we think you can get more for the house. And that's not even their business, guys. And so that was another conversation I had to have with her, smooth that over, let her know she was doing the right thing, and that, we gave her a fair offer and things like that, and that we were going to get the deal done. So we got past that bump in the road as well. But that just goes to say, guys, a deal is not done until it's done. And you want to start the relationship with that seller by building comfortability, all right? Building trust, building rapport, and establishing a relationship. So when things like that happen, you can talk to them. They come to you and tell you about it instead of going ghost on you, all right? And I certainly appreciate her even mentioning those situations to me so I can talk through it with her, as opposed to her just going ghost on me, signing a contract with somebody else and us not even knowing what's going on, all right? So building that rapport and establishing trust at the beginning is very important when you're wholesaling houses, because you don't know what can pop up during that transaction, guys, all right? So we got all that smoothed over. It was an affidavit of heirship because it was technically her granny's house. And so we had to do the paperwork to get it deeded over to her. Actually, it was deeded over to her mother, which was the next heir in line after her grandmother's passing. But her mother understood that the granny did want to leave the house to her. So that wasn't a problem at all. We got all the paperwork situated. They ended up signing. But before we got to the closing table, because those other people called, popping up, making offers, things like that, she came off and said, hey, we owe this in taxes. We have these fees. Can you come up at all on the price? And so we did end up coming up $2,200 to cover some of their expenses, which ultimately left us with an assignment fee of $44,000, guys, which is still our biggest deal to date. And so we got the deal closed. The buyer who bought it from us actually just listed it on the market and has a pending sale. So he bought the deal from us at 141.2. That is pending sale on the market right now for 249, I believe. So he might have put in 30-40 grand. He's gonna end up walking away with about 60,000 on the deal, potentially more. So we were able to make 44. He was able to make 60 on this deal. So that just goes to show you guys how much money can be made in these real estate deals. All right, real estate game is crazy. You guys need to tap in. All right, so again, this was a deal that came from inbound marketing. This lead called us, ready to sell. Her problems were foreclosure, not being able to pay the mortgage. She was actually newly pregnant. And so, you know, she was without a job, but obviously she was concerned about how she was going to take care of her baby, you know, her living expenses, things like that. So we were able to help her out and transition to a better space for her and her family, get them off of the foreclosure, get the house sold, you know, provide this great deal for our buyer where he's going to make a great deal of money, you know, and a new family is going to be moving into that house and probably love it because it's fully renovated, guys. So it's so many moving pieces, moving parts, and people involved in these transactions. So many people get paid, so many people walk away happy, and that's why we love it, man. We love problem solving, and we love to see the end result, and obviously we love making $44,000. So that's another deal breakdown for you guys. 44 racks, one deal, and we're looking for the next one. All right, like I said, that was our biggest deal to date, but I believe we got a 50 ball coming up soon. I can feel it in my bones. So be looking out for that deal breakdown. And until next time, y'all, real estate game is crazy. I encourage all of y'all to tap in and get some. All right, it's your boy Show, man. Let's go.